My story today is coming out of Hawaii. And island hopping a new cannabis wholesale route in Hawaii. This is from MJ Biz Daily. A handful of medical cannabis companies in Hawaii are selling and delivering wholesale flower and other marijuana products from one island to another, a first for the state and a rare sales route anywhere in the US. Island hopping by plane, helicopter, or boat is common for visitors and residents traversing the region, an archipelago in the Pacific Ocean that encompasses a land area totaling more than 6,000 miles. And now the state's medical marijuana industry is hopping on board to expand product offerings to thousands of medical marijuana patients. Industry operators are reluctant to share details, of course, given potential legal issues, among other reasons. Traveling from one island to another requires crossing federal waters, and marijuana remains illegal under federal law, as we know. But Hawaii legislators recently gave their blessing in June. Lawmakers approved legislation allowing state licensed companies to sell wholesale marijuana to cannabis businesses, including those located on other islands. The regulation took effect in August. Big Island Grown, which is 35,000 square foot indoor cultivation operation on Hawaii Island, completed the state's first wholesale inter-island transaction on September 1st with Green Aloha Dispensary on Kauai. Within 9 days, Big Island Grown's flower sold out at Green Aloha's dispensaries in Kapakoa and Kaloa, helping the retailer boost gross revenue 40% over month to month. Some U.S. operators already have been transporting regulated cannabis by sea and air, though it's rare. In Alaska, Weed Dudes in commercial flights to its retail stores in the hamlet of Sitka on Baranof Island, just off the southern coast. In Washington state, at least three retailers are located in the San Juan Islands, including on San Juan Island and Orcas Island. Obviously, operators are assuming all of the risk. In addition, Hawaii's medical marijuana market is restrictive. Gummies, brownies, and other edibles were allowed only last year. The state's medical marijuana industry is small, with only 8 licensed operators on 4 of its 8 main islands, partly because of Hawaii's long-established illicit market and collectives. Patients' registrations have been flat for years, stunting revenue for license holders. As a result, lawmakers have been reluctant to take any significant action to prop up the medical marijuana industry or legalize adult use. Through the end of July, approximately 33,000 patients were registered, a total that has remained relatively flat since at least January of 2022, according to the state data. It is said that about a third of cardholders are registered simply for added protection against enforcement. Another third utilize the card for personal grows or stack several cards together to create larger cultivation operations, and ultimately their own distribution and retail networks outside the scope of regulatory oversight. While adult use legalization efforts have failed to gain ground the past few years in Hawaii's more conservative House, industry insiders are optimistic legislation could pass in the 2024 session. From advocates on the ground in Hawaii, they support adult use if the collectives remain. They do not want to lose the medical program just to bring in adult use. The 8 licensed retailers in the state are businessmen and women that were not in the industry prior. The locals prefer their collectives, which are mostly operated by legacy farmers. In 2017, dispensary applicants were required to pay a $75,000 licensing fee to the health department within 7 days of receiving written notice of their selection. Applicants who were also required to have $1 million in cash plus $100,000 for each dispensary location. Those license holders were disconnected from the local community, driving majority of registered to the collectives to buy medicine. I just find this fascinating, that this is new to the Hawaii Islands, getting to go from one island to another with product, because it is technically one state. But I see how these licensed and regulated license holders really want adult use because they're not winning in the medical market right now. But this is Nicole Buffon reporting for High 9 News. I'd love to hear what my other correspondents think about this story.
Man, I have a
It's
feeling.
silly. Thank you for covering it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, go.
All right. Well,
Yeah, the fact that it's one state, they should have delivery. It's confusing and stupid and wrong.
Nope, because once they step foot off of land into the water, they are technically in international water. They are no longer in the state of Hawaii, and they are totally at risk of getting pulled over by the Coast Guard in a boat. And so I think their safest way of travel
They
is
should just change the law. It's stupid.
You can't change the law. That's not reality, because the federal government isn't going to change the law.
But isn't it's actually
but isn't the air
federal government?
It is international water, because once you hit the shoreline, that is considered international water.
Yeah,
They did.
wouldn't they have to?
Yeah, but
Would they
also
not have to get a
also
federal
the
blessing
airlines
to do
are
that?
regulated by the FAA.
Saman, but they're not taking airlines. They're going to take little puddle hoppers, little private planes back and
No,
forth.
It
no, it
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter.
You're in
As
the.
long as they
It
hit
doesn't
the
matter.
air.
FAA still
It
regulates them
doesn't
too.
matter.
This is the thing.
Regulates all air traffic.
I've never
The
seen.
FAA regulates all air traffic.
I have
Drones,
never.
planes, everything.
I have never seen a plane get pulled over in the air, but I have seen boats get pulled over in the
plane's not
water.
going to get pulled over, but when it lands, yeah, but Jason, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get pulled over, dude. But when the plane lands, that's when they're going to come and do whatever they're going to do.
That's a different story.
The FAA regulates all air travel.
I agree with you.
Why don't they just promote like
it's
a
talking. It just goes to
locally on each island?
What's that, Rico?
Why don't they just promote the farmers to grow their own on each island?
I mean they need to.
So they do. Collectively, they do. We're talking about the regulated industry. There's only 8 licensed regulated operators in the state of Hawaii. There's like 3 on Kauai. There's like, so they're spread around. So these regulated licensed operators are the ones that need this interstate or island hopping transportation
Interstate.
delivery service.
Inter-island.
There's collectives on all the islands that are supplying patients with medicine. They're just not in the regulated space. They're unregulated. They don't pay taxes. They collectively, like the article said, they stack their cards to be able to have a co-op essentially, because that is within the law in Hawaii for medical patients.
If they so hypothetical question, if they were able to crawl along the ocean floor, would they still be?
Yes. Once you get into water,
let's have an actual discussion. Question: do we know what they do in Alaska? Is this an issue up there whatsoever? Because we know that many communities up there have to be accessed by boat or plane.
Alaska and Washington State, both of them have islands off their coasts that are considered part of that state, and they have been delivering product to those islands from the mainland.
And all I'm saying,
it's already being done.
All I'm saying, regardless if it's being done or not, because we know there's lots of trapping that goes on and lots of shipping all across the country, that's all still illegal. But it doesn't matter. This is illegal for them to do, and it's irresponsible of these lawmakers to tell them that it's okay for them to do it.
Yeah, they would have to get it passed from the federal government.
It's the same way. It's the same thing as the John Cole memo. The federal government, the Obama could not change the federal government's mind.
The Cole memo, Cole memo doesn't do nothing. Cole memo is a worthless piece of paper.
Just like these legislators' promises don't technically do anything. They're just saying they're not going to send people after them, but they can't stop what the federal government does. But the senators and the legislators, they're like, we're going to leave you alone.
Well, wouldn't Rohrabacher Farr actually also protect these people?
No, because they're crossing a federal border.
I get it, but there's not allowed to be federal prosecution in a medically legal state. So how does that not apply then to the FAA or to the Coast Guard or someone else?
Right.
I don't see how you can get around this.
I do.
I think that's the whole point of Rohrabacher Farr.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Gretchen, and that may be why there is a lack of enforcement on this.
This is my legal interpretation and truth, so it must be right.
I didn't know that you were a lawyer. It's amazing.
Keep going, 14 minutes.
Does play one on TV though.
So, oh boy,
Jason's a lawyer, a doctor, and everything you need him to be. Right,
everything
Jason?
you need to be. You know that all in one roof. That's right.